You're
Probably
still
is,
off here.
I'm guessing.
There we go.
Live, I see it.
Hey, everybody.
Hello,
Hey, everybody.
welcome everyone. This is Jan Massey, and I am taking over your computer screen. And I want to welcome Natalie Redding
Hi.
from Namaste Farm. Namaste Farm. I don't
Call it
say
Namaste. It's okay. I say it wrong too. I'm
I
like,
let-
no, yeah, I say it wrong.
Namaste, namaste, and
I know,
namaste,
whatever.
namaste.
I sit
You
up and
know.
went, Namaste. And I'm like, well, that's
Namaste.
karate. So, and Arlene is with us today, too. So, 'cause
Hello,
what-
everybody.
all
Everybody
right.
knows Arlene. I have a girl crush on Arlene because she's so smart.
It's my boobs.
I've got my own. I don't need those. It's your brain I'm after.
It's my boobs. Oh yeah, there we go. Right off the bat.
Just
Kick it
all the
off
way
with
down.
that.
All the way down.
So Natalie, we had some questions for you, but is there anything specific you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about the part where Arlene, oh my gosh, you guys, seriously, it's so dangerous having doing anything live because as everybody, Jan, you know, I did the live Google Hangouts, but I hadn't hit start yet, but it was allowing anybody in the Hangout to watch what I was doing, but I was on the phone to Laura, like talking about personal
That's
things
right.
with everybody. No, but it happened today too because we did get the thing figured out, Arlene, the whole internet. It's totally fixed.
Oh,
It was
that's
totally
great.
fixed. No, but what we had to do is we had to erase everything that was in the Terra deck. But while it was doing that, it broadcast it live for whatever reason, and I think I was sexually harassing my husband. I'm not kidding. I'm not lying. I think I was saying some pretty spicy things to him, and then I do have flavorful language anyway, so I was probably walking around. But like people watched it for like 53 minutes of like private. I would never do that if I knew somebody was on, but it's not the first time it's happened. People watch. I don't understand that. And then someone gave me a thumbs down on the like it wasn't even supposed to be broadcast, and they're like, yeah, this really sucks. It's like, yes, it sucks because it's not even supposed to be broadcasted. It's us trying to troubleshoot, you guys. Yeah,
Well,
I was really horrified.
That was like when you were with Laura, and I'm going, Natalie,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
and I'm texting you, going,
I know.
Natalie, and I'm
It was
thinking,
so
please don't do anything obscene, please. The screen is right there.
No. Which is the story of my life, obscenity, right? Just kidding.
No, the
It's
best
not.
one was when you had blog. You were
Don't bring it
videotaping
up.
something about Scrappy. That
Was
one?
it? Oh no,
No,
I was talking about the other one I did. Go
No,
ahead.
you were doing yoga on the floor, and your phone was aimed up at your bed, and Scrappy was jumping the other dog, that little black one.
He was mating the other dog.
Yes.
Well, he doesn't have testicles, but he sure tries.
Well,
No,
he was
my
trying
favorite-
very hard.
No, I have
And
to
I-
just say the one I thought you were going to bring up, which was really horrifying, and I think the people will appreciate this because it's horrifying, is that I had done blog talk was really horrible because it was horrible. I loved it. But what was bad about it was that if you closed your computer screen but didn't exit out of the program, it continued to record whatever your screen's. The computer should be in sleep. Nobody should know anything. So I didn't know that. I had been doing it about a year at that point, and I was really mad at one of my friends, and I was talking on the phone to somebody about her, and I was just like, I'm so and I was just going off the rails to this private conversation. But I hadn't exited out of Blog Talk because people were chatting in there, and I didn't want to cut them off, but I didn't know it was still running Blog Talk. So anyway, the next day I had to go. I was like I want to say it was in Visalia, so it was like way far away. I didn't have my computer. When I opened up my computer, there were probably like 80 messages saying, Natalie, do you know that every single thing that you said after the class, including getting in a fight with your husband, was all recorded and is part of the podcast for 60 minutes.
Wow,
60 minutes of my private life. Oops. So the worst part is one of the people that listened to the podcast was her. And at that point that I had been aware that had happened, over 650 downloads.
Oh, wow!
I
had 300 last time.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. Like, but the point being, though, so you know what? This is a cautionary tale, my friend, right here. It is a cautionary tale for when you're making out with your dog and you're sucking on his tongue, because I know you do that.
No.
You know, and you're like, you know.
He doesn't let me. He doesn't
really?
let me near him. Mm-mm.
Well, then your neighbor, whatever you do. Just know we could be watching. It gives you a whole new level of paranoia, by the way.
Well, last time I was like this going, I think I got it shut off. I don't know how to shut
I know.
this thing
It's
off.
just better to shut down your computer afterwards, I've decided. That's what I do. After these things now, I shut them down. I shut it down so at least I know, you know, but I didn't realize why on earth it would broadcast us trying to ferret it out. But the whole point is, you guys, now the broadcast, we should never lose feed until like something else happens. But for right now, everything is like really, it was really good today. I was really happy. I didn't even get worried we were going to get
Now you don't have that convenient, oh, I dropped the phone call. Sorry. I got cut off.
Yeah, exactly. Oops. It's really bad. Reception's really, really bad.
My brother does that to
But anyway, so anything, you guys, anything. I'm like, I
want to take a walk down memory lane.
Oh, yeah.
Look what I dug out of my archives. The one and only kitchen sink scarf.
Oh, God, that looks really good.
From the Yarn Market Yarns.
Did you use a different, oh, my gosh.
This is all kitchen sink.
The whole thing, you didn't use a different yarn?
No.
It's on the diagonal?
Yes, it's your
You did a
pattern.
beautiful job.
Thank you, but it's your pattern. But anyway, I was talking to Jan about what I used to love about these Yarn Market yarns was that they were so delicate. They were delicate. And I wondered if you could tell me, like, I remember watching you spin this stuff, and you used to very carefully, like, you'd take this big pile of mohair locks, and you would very carefully pick out only the right pieces to spin.
That's right. That's right.
And I remember you turned to me and you're like, here's some short stuff. You want it? Like, because you were very selective about what went into the yarn, for starters. And secondly, you used this amazing thread to ply with. It's like iridescent.
Yes.
What was this? Will you tell now?
Yeah, I will. Actually, the search would be either Lurex cone or Mylar cone in eBay, and I still do it weekly. I still do it because it's hard to find. There's a place in England that sells something close. See, the hard part about it is that if you've noticed in that thread, there is no polyester.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that isn't. So what happens with a lot of these Mylar, if you put it in, it'll have a thread that's polyester that won't pick up dye. So you end up having this weird white thread and then this iridescent thread. This one doesn't have that. And so to find that is very difficult, and even I gave you a secret right there, you guys, for everybody to try and find it, but just know that I'm looking for it too. So if I can beat you to it, maybe I will. It's hard to find.
Would that be the same thread that they sell sewing thread at like Joann's?
It could be in those smaller, like little tiny. I get cones, like giant cones of it, because I still use it. I still want to have it all the time, even though I don't really make yarn anymore, which is so funny because I know that you guys probably know this, but this weekend I'm going to Florida for a retreat that I'm teaching, and I'm pretty excited about it. One of the days is spinning, but this is really funny that I don't really spin that much anymore, so I started really, I want everybody to know, and Arlene already knows, like, it's embarrassing about how much I gush about her, but one of the things that we have philosophies that really gel, but I don't have a lot of time. I have a piece of the puzzle, and Arlene will have the other piece of the puzzle. So my philosophy, about business and about how you should approach it has always been really that success is good for everybody, and the whole thing about don't compete with other people, but because really your success, if you start feeling like competition against, you start getting jealous, and it makes all of these really negative things. So you can never care about what other people are doing, and if they're better than you, then you have to become better. Or you have to try and find your niche a different way. If someone's just so much better than you that you just can't. So Arlene, like I'm talking about this philosophy, and she's like, it's the blue ocean. Is it the blue ocean? What is it called?
Ocean. Yeah.
Blue ocean. It's called the blue ocean. So Arlene says the blue ocean. So I look up blue ocean, and I'm like reading this philosophy, which of course Arlene, I didn't even know that there was this philosophy called the blue ocean, but it is that. And I'm reading this philosophy, the blue ocean, and I'm so thankful that there's like a name to the way that I believe that I didn't know there was a name to. But in that, the reason I'm telling you that is that I'm going to teach spinning on one of the days. And since I really don't spin that much anymore, and there's been brilliant, I'm sure, you know, many of these people have taken all of these classes with amazingly brilliant artists, because there's many out there that teach spinning, right? And, you know, there's only so many ways to course, and there's only so many ways to do all these things. So it's like, really, why would you teach? Like, I don't believe teaching what everybody else is doing. What's the point of that? It's like repackaging old hamburger. That's my favorite thing to say. So I don't repackage old hamburger. And then I was like, I started getting a little nervous about it, because I'm like, gosh, you know, some of these spinners might be better than me. And then I was like, Natalie, but that's not your point. Like it's not about repackaging old hamburger, doing course spinning, and you know, whatever it is. It's about, like, you have to teach what you do. And then, of course, you bringing this up today, Arlene, is really weird, because I look at that yarn and it was beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
So it isn't about whether, what it's about really is like what you said, picking out. It's like, it becomes, for me, because I'm a shepherd, it's about the fleece. That's where it starts, the canvas. It's about the canvas, and how do we use that canvas.
So what got you spinning in the first place?
I had a lot of animals that had a lot of fleece. And I was like, what on earth am I going to do with all of this fleece? And that is exactly true.
Was that your first intent, though, when you started getting more sheep?
No, I wanted the sheep. I wanted the sheep. I had a bunch of children, you know, because I do have a bunch of children, and 5. And we raised race horses, and the horses, I kept worrying that my children would get in, you know, because it actually happened. There was a 2-year-old, and it was a 2-year-old horse, not a child, but the child, I think, was like, I want to say like 16 months or something. And I stopped at my friend's house, and they were training, and the horse was tied up, and my son went over and picked up the foot of the horse. And I saw death in that moment, because the horse was really young, and it could have done anything. It could have killed him. And I freaked out so hard and grabbed him and realized, oh my gosh, you know, in my own place, like, if they open a gate, they'll be dead. They'll be killed, because racehorses aren't trained they're not trained to tie, because they're valuable. And if they break their neck, they can pull back and like flip over and like kill themselves, or they could, you know, there's lots of ways to hurt yourself if you're tied. So we don't teach racehorses to tie. And so in that moment, I realized I wanted my children to be raised with a lot of animals. However, I didn't want them to be killed, which I thought was really nice of me. I'm so nice.
That's generous.
So I picked animals that have no natural defenses. It's really, and it was exactly, and plus, since my degree in animal science, it was really easy at that time to figure out what would be the best choice. Something, you know, small ruminants. That's how I got into it.
And then you got into spinning.
Well, and the thing is that I'm sure most of you have seen, maybe you haven't, or have heard, my husband has dreadlocks. And it reminds me of my husband's hair, the Wensleydale. So I was looking at, because when you learn about sheep at like Cal Poly, they teach you about meat sheep. They don't teach you about, I didn't even know there were wool sheep. I didn't know. I thought every sheep was either a merino, which was like quasi-dual purpose, or was like Suffolk or something, you know, something you would like, the fair sheep. I didn't even know. And so, but you know, that said, I had the hots for the sheep teacher, and so never paid attention. I had the hots for him. I wasn't married to my husband.
Oh, the flesh
Anyhow,
is so weak.
So it's true. It's true. It was true. So I didn't really pay attention much. They might have taught a whole thing on fleece, and I missed it as I was like salivating over him. But so the sheep, as I was like, I was researching sheep to buy, I kept coming across these sheep with these like dreadlocks in the front, and I kept thinking, oh my gosh, it's my husband's hair on sheep, and that's what happened. And so then I started looking for them and found out that they weren't the $125 a head sheep that I had heard about that you buy on like Craigslist and eat. They were like $3,000 sheep that I was all in.
Wow.
They were really expensive then.
So is that like the going price for are you talking Wensleydale or Teeswater?
Yeah, actually, I just bought the going rate at that time was about. It depended on the percentage, because they didn't have purebreds. Well, they still don't technically. They're not purebred, but you know, they're like 98% or 96% they're up to now. But I just bought some, by the way. I just bought 3. Again, because mine are old now, and they're in Oregon. But now I got a package deal, I think, for like $2,800 of 3 sheep that are all purebred. And before, I paid like $3,000 for a ram that was only 93%.
Wow.
So I mean, they've come down quite a bit.
Is that because they're getting more in the gene pool, or?
I think there's just, you know, now they have, you know, now they have purebreds.
Sounded like I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, you sounded really good there. I like that. I like that little addition.
I practiced it.
You did? Yeah. Did you look in the mirror too with the, like, you did like the head bob and like the?
I did. I was like, hey, gene pool.
Yeah, I said gene pool. And I didn't mean like washing your, like, the pants.
Jeans, yes.
Yeah, no, anyway, so I think that there's more of them, and I think that people also, the other thing I always say about Wensleydales is that they don't have a lot of hybrid vigor, so they're not vigorous, and they are not disease resistant, and they have, because we have a small gene pool, they also have, birthing difficulties, and they're difficult sheep to raise, and I think that got out, right? And so if it's not going to want to live and you have to pay $3,000 for it, you're not going to sell a lot of them.
So that's what happened to the alpaca business too, didn't it? Weren't they like $3,000 to $5,000 for a buck, and then everybody was getting them, and now they can't even get rid of their fiber?
Okay, this is way worse than what you just said.
Oh.
It was like $200,000, $300,000. They were selling them for ridiculous amounts of money. I mean, $65,000. And the story with them is so much worse because they were marketed to people that had retirements as a way to, or were right before they retired, to people that wanted a tax write-off because you're a farmer now. So what happened was, that happened with the Arabian horse business too, but what they did is they made it in 86, I think it was 86, they changed the laws so that horses weren't considered livestock. So all those people that had bought Arabian horses for hundreds of thousands of dollars and then were reselling them, it had nothing to do, they inflated the value. It's like a pyramid scheme. It's sort of the same principle, where the people at the very, very top are selling them for like $300,000, and they're convincing the little guy at the bottom, if you spend $30,000 on this cria, you probably, there's a very good chance you can sell its baby for, I don't know, it depends on how good it is, and then they go to the micron count, they start going through the histograms, and then they're like, who knows, $65,000, $75,000, and so people are like, oh my gosh, what a great investment this is. The problem is that people weren't going into farming because they wanted to be farmers. They were going in because the commercials were showing these big doe-eyed alpacas with really sweet faces, and the marketing was genius. It was genius, but the unfortunate thing was, it wasn't sustainable, because at some point everybody's going to realize that not only do you have to at some point have a legitimate business, you can't write off everything and have a loss, because it's not a legitimate business. So then where are you? You're stuck with a bunch of alpacas, and you can't use them as a write-off because you're not making any money. And not only that, you realize that hay is very expensive, and that you were really duped, because the selling point for you paying like $60,000 was that it has a 21 micron fleece, but then you find out that you'll never make $60,000 on a 21 micron fleece. The only way to make that money back is to be at the top of the pyramid scheme and be able to sell the babies.
Wow.
So it was really tragic, because then the economy crashed, and hay prices went from $7 a bale to like $24 a bale, and people were they weren't able to sell their fleeces. They hadn't been focusing on fleeces. They had been shearing them when the shear came, not when the fleeces were ready. They had garage fulls and storage facilities full of alpaca fleece that that they had no idea really if it was good. They would spend money getting a histogram, but people like you and me and Arlene, we don't care about a histogram. How does it feel? We don't care. We don't want to see. Who cares? That doesn't matter to us. How does it when you touch it? So it's tragedy. It's a tragedy for a lot, and the animals too. It's a tragedy for them.
Yeah, I know a lot of people around here got alpacas and llamas because they said they're quiet and that they guard the flocks. But I heard that's not necessarily true either, that they're not that great at guardians.
True. Not that. I mean, I have one alpaca actually that I would like to punch in the nose. I only have one alpaca, by the way, now. I did have several, but I got rid of them. Anytime I want any, I can get some for free. That's what I like about it. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these because somebody wants them. But if I want any, I know I can find some for free. That's how bad it is, right? But anyway, so he does he makes it really hard for my dogs to work, because he tries to kill the dogs as the dogs are trying to herd the sheep. So I have one alpaca that would guard, and I don't want him to, because I want my dogs to be able to bring me the sheep. Yeah. I have the holy grail of alpaca, and I don't want him to do it. I know. He's going to be famous someday now. They're going to say, remember that alpaca Natalie talked about?
Hey, whatever happened to Todd?
Oh, Todd was a victim. Todd was a victim of age.
Oh, you can just tell. Todd was a very special sheep.
Todd is actually Todd's genetics are all over the place here. Even though I weathered him.
Does anybody like Todd? Like, is there Todd?
Yeah, actually, I just shared one. I actually
Oh,
said this is like
real
Todd.
black? Was that real black one?
It was the one that I showed. No, not the real black one. There was one that I actually was showing the skirting of today, and it is very similar to Todd. It's probably not quite as dense, and but it's really a nice fleece. Yeah, he was a beautiful animal. He was
What kind of sheep?
Wensleydale, just
Okay.
stellar animal. And I think I kept until he was like 7.
The little story about Todd that Jan may not know is that Janice Rosema's favorite was Todd. And when Natalie was auctioning off some of Janice's things after she passed away, she had some of Todd. So here was Todd's fleece that Janice owned. So now it's like doubly valuable because Janice owned it. And the auction price for that was crazy. It was like $800 a pound by the time.
It was ridiculous. And that part it went to most of the money went to her husband.
Yeah.
Her husband. But there were some things that wasn't one of them that I got the money from, but I was really bummed out about that too. It's like, dang it, God, I chose, because he was like, you can have some of the things that of my wife, she'd want you to have them, and I picked some of the things that wasn't one of them. Because I own the sheep.
Yeah. So anyway, so I wondered what happened to Todd, because that was probably the most valuable.
Yeah, he would have been like, I think, like 10 or something like that. His mom died a couple years ago, and those were some of my original sheep, So that's why I had to buy. I bought these three. I didn't really want to. I've got a couple hundred head of sheep. I didn't really want to buy anymore. I'm just not in that mode because I don't want to bring any new genetics on here. Also because you're chance of bringing disease. But the person that I bought them from, I've known the entire time I've been in this business, and her husband was a veterinarian, and her flock is clean, and she's getting out of them. So it was like this perfect opportunity to be able to have animals that I know aren't going to bring a disease into my flock. She also has English Leicesters, and I really would like to grab a couple of those too. The English Leicesters are just such great. I mean, there's some just really great breeds of sheep out there. They really are.
What's the life expectancy of a sheep?
Well, it's not like when you have ones like Wensleydales, they're like prima donnas. They can. I'm telling you. The lifespan of goats is way longer. That wasn't the question. The question was sheep. I'm going to give you 6 years. I'm going to give you 8 years. 8 years. But they can die of so many things. Bloat. There's just so many things they can die of. They are so hardy, but so not hardy. They don't tell us when they're sick. They want to be stoic because then they'll be predated. It's just ingrained in them. So when they're sick, if they see you looking at them, they'll go and eat with the rest of the flock. They'll pretend to eat, even though they're not eating. They'll put their head down. And then the second you turn away, they'll like put their head back down like they're sick again. So you have to be really, really present as a shepherd. Shepherds that aren't present and don't pay attention don't have sheep long.
Oh.
Makes sense.
It does.
It's like you have to be hyper aware of every little thing that they do. I am not kidding you. And like when horses, we used to say, in the racehorse business, we used to say, go out there and make sure they have 2 eyes and 4 legs. That's what you say, just as because when you go around and feed, just make sure they have 2 eyes, 4 legs. Here, you have to go around and make sure they have 2 eyes, 4 legs, 2 udders. I'm serious, with teats that are perfect. The babies are nursing. I mean, and the babies, look good and they're gaining weight. I mean, it's not like a once over. It's like more than a once over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a dog. I said fiber is cheap. When people go, oh, you pay that much for it? And I'm like, it's cheap when you figure the feed, vet bills,
my gosh.
Just the upkeep on them.
Oh my gosh. It's like, honestly, people don't understand how it's really, I love what I love. I feel, but I'm one of the fortunate ones, I'm not that I didn't work to get here, but, I did work to get here, but I feel very fortunate. And it does break my heart. But there's not a lot of shepherds in Southern California, right? So obviously, I feel lucky in that way too. But it's with the hay prices, and really what happened was and I'm not trying to be mean about the Chinese, but they ended up buying all of our hay and putting in the tankers on the way back to China. They got smart. Rather, they're like, why on earth would we grow our own hay when we can buy it from the U.S. and just have those empty tankers come back with it? And they drove our hay prices up to astronomical, and we're starting to recover now. I think I paid $12.95 a bale for a 125-pound bale this time, but it's still not at the $7 it was. It came down from 22 and 24.
Now, you were talking in the fleece thing about, and I don't want to say too much about it, but that you should, if they feed alfalfa, that you shouldn't, that's not good for the getting in the fleece.
It's so problematic. I mean, I feed alfalfa. Okay, go ahead.
What do you feed them? Pellets?
So I guess I should have probably been a little more clear about that. I feed alfalfa, but my animals are blanketed. So if you look at the where the blanket ends, it's nothing but vegetation. It's just horrible. Like, that was the one thing. I have a picture of it, actually. When Laura was here, she goes, "Oh my gosh, people need to see this," and she took a picture of it, and I should post it, and I will. But I do not feed alfalfa to animals that don't have blankets on. What I do is, I have talked about, I have the fencing that I have is 2x4 mesh, so it's like this. It's a mesh. I put the hay on the outside of the fence, so they have to pick through. They have to put their little lips through that little thing and pull it in. So I line it along the fence line, and then I feed pellets. I feed hay pellets and I feed grain. So we have like silos, like 4-ton silos, and we get grain delivered every couple weeks, like 4 tons. And so I feed a really high grain ration, which a lot of people won't do because they believe, and there's evidence to support it, that it gives the males urinary calculi, which is they get like stones in their urethra, and then they can't urinate, and of course then they have to be put down. But if you don't castrate them early, what happens if you castrate early? That urethra won't grow very big, so it'll be really small. So I don't castrate anymore. I actually don't castrate anything. That way, its urethra will be fairly large. Yeah, and so, and that's, for a lot of people, that's really odd. Like, I don't know that many people know people that don't castrate, but I just won't do it because I feed a high grain ration because it's a lot of calories for, it's a lot of calories for them, and it's good for them, and ours are growing. I'm asking them to grow an inch of fleece a month. I want them to grow an inch of fleece a month. And there is also evidence to support that the higher nutrition you give them, the higher the micron will be. So that would support not feeding them very well. But mine are stressed by heat, and so they need to have a lot of nutrition. So anyway, that's just on that. That was long-winded. You're like, I'm not going to stop asking you questions.
No, that's okay, because I always learn something, and that's the great thing, is I learned something from this. So
this is like, I'm telling you, I am not, I say this all the, whenever someone, Arlene's heard me say it so many times, she's like, yeah, we got it. But I always say, I'm not a stupid woman. But what's so funny is, like, what person would say that, even if they, no matter, so no one's ever going to say, yeah, I'm really stupid. So I don't know why I have to feel the need to say that, but I do. I say I'm not a stupid woman. But I am not a stupid woman, but I will tell you that doing this is so intellectually stimulating. It seems like being a shepherd would be all brawn and no smarts, but it takes a lot of smarts to be successful and to keep your flock. And more than that, it takes awareness. Like, you have to be, it's like so perfect for somebody like me that like has ADHD. It sounds, because people think ADHD means that you can't focus, but it really means you focus on everything. You can't tune things out. That's why it's a perfect thing for me, because I can't not see things.
See, and I see, well, I have a lot of things going on. I have a lot of things going on.
And? Because
my attention span doesn't, I can't commit to anything too long.
That's because you think of everything. It's not that you can't focus, it's that you're focusing on everything.
Well, that's a good point.
That's
why I have coffee. Coffee is my drug of choice.
Really?
Yeah, coffee helps level me out.
Well, then you need to definitely rinse your mouth out with hydrogen peroxide every night, like I do, to keep your teeth white. I do that every night now.
Oh, I was like, why?
You're like, why? I don't care about my teeth, Natalie. I'm not in Southern California.
No, well, that's why they have white.
Everybody has white teeth. Like, I watch these people on television, like, and I'm just like, their teeth cannot possibly be real. Nobody has teeth that white.
They have bleaching.
No, I know my teeth.
I thought they were all capped.
No, they're all like veneers, because my teeth, actually, I've had the dentist tell me, no matter what dentist I go to, they say, oh my gosh, your teeth are like incredibly white. That's just, it was genetic. For whatever reason, I got a nasty mean streak, but I do have white teeth. But even my teeth are not near. I mean, I watch them and I'm like, I would not even want to be standing next to you. It's not real.
That looks, yeah, that looks fake.
It does not look good. I don't think it looks good.
No.
But that's where we're at now. Where like you're used to when you see people on television, they can't move their forehead and they have white teeth.
It's pleasant.
That's Southern California right there in a nutshell. Can't move their forehead, white teeth, and drive Priuses. That's it. Yeah, you're like, don't get me started on that. Well, I drive a big diesel truck, so.
You're the anti-person.
I'm the anti.
I'm
just gonna just drive this 10 mile a gallon.
Something like that. So, getting to that, what was that, yarn market? How did you get into yarn market?
Because well, poor Arlene and Susie have known me long enough that I never stop thinking of ways to be better. I just don't. Do I ever stop, Arlene?
It's nonstop.
It's nonstop.
It's nonstop.
It's nonstop. My mind, because I will tell you guys this, like, I've gotten a lot thicker skin than I used to have. I never wanted to ever be, I only like personal relationships, like really close interpersonal relationships is how my whole life that I've really gravitated towards. I'm not a person that has superficial relationships. So becoming on the internet was extremely difficult for me because I just being subjected, like the idea of having to friend request somebody was horrifying for me. It really was. And but I had to figure out how I was going to feed the animals because it got to where I had so many and then the economy tanked. And so Sean, the benefactor for our farm had been Sean's mother, who owned all of her stocks in banks. And when the collapse happened, you can just guess that there was no more money. It was gone. And so it was like overnight, Sean said, there is no money and we can't feed them. I'm not lying. It's the truth. And at that point, I went into like a mode I didn't even know I had. I had no idea that I was this person. I thought of myself as being a person who could sequester themselves and was just perfectly happy either going to college, because I loved education, I loved to learn, or...
Hey, look who's on your shoulder.
Pardon me?
Someone's on your shoulder.
What's on my... Oh, that's so funny. He's such a nudge. Anyway, so, but the whole thing is that I really, it was this role, and I really wanted to tell women, and men, that even if you don't know if you can be in a role until you're forced to. And I think about, it's so stupid to think of this idiom, but I think about it all the time, that necessity is the mother of invention, because necessity invented me.
I believe that.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
it's
quite literally, it took a part of my personality that I didn't even know that I had. And it made me become something I didn't even know I was. And I was in my, I'm 53 now, so that was in 2008. I'd been doing this since the end of 2005, but in 2008, I no longer got to do it for fun and tell people I didn't want to sell my stuff. No, it's mine. I don't want it. No, it's not for sale. I used to do that. I'd go to fiber festivals with my sheep, and they'd see all these beautiful things and this beautiful yarn, and they'd be like, "Oh, is this for sale?" And I'd be like, "No, it's not. Actually, it's mine. It's all mine. Everything is mine. I get to keep it," because I didn't want people judging me. I didn't want that judgment, And we've talked about this, and you and Arlene, and you both know from the class. I talk about this all the time. That the second that you put something for sale, they have the right to judge you. They have the right, and so people that get thin-skinned about that when someone rejects you have to get rid of that. If you want to be successful, you have got to get rid of. And I'm telling you, I was like a burn victim. Like if someone, can take offense, and used to take offense so easily. There's still things that I have, triggers for sure. But I've really, the public has really done a great job of helping me overcome that. And the necessity of having to do it really helped. But it's made me a much better person. I'm a much better person, and I'm a way better inspiration for my daughters for sure. Because they see that their mother isn't this person that just, hides behind. I would just hide behind Sean. Like, that's what I did. He's, Sean, I just literally was like a housewife, an educated housewife. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I realized is I wasn't living. If you're not doing something that makes you uncomfortable, you're not living. Living is experiencing bad and good and growing, right? It's not just sequestering yourself. That's not living. So.
Going on a limb, like I posted that thing that says, do something every day that you're afraid to do.
That's right.
Because
actually,
it's like a muscle, and it expands.
Yes.
Every time you do something that you're afraid to do, it gets easier and easier to do something.
But Jan, I'm not kidding, but like literally, that is what it's true. I did just see that, but that is the story of how this, and I realized that the whole time my husband, because now we've been together for 24 years, but so that meant that the first part of our life, I was hiding behind him, and he's an introvert, and I'm an extrovert, which it was like our roles were totally wrong. It actually helped. I mean, we didn't have a bad marriage at all, but it's really helped us. We're in the right roles now. Sean's like the supportive person, and I'm like the one that is the idea person and the doer. I'm a doer. He's not he's a caretaker. We were in the wrong roles for a long time, and now and I feel really competent and capable. And even I was talking to Arlene the other day, and she started this, I always talk about how she's a CEO of a really important company, and her job is takes balls, it takes testicles, and she was telling me she didn't really, she didn't take it really life that seriously about work until she was in 40. So I was like, oh my gosh, this woman that I just revere, that's so awesome. It really does show you, it's not, you can swim with the sharks. We as women, we may not know our roles, not because we just be out of, that we never had to find it. We never had to find it. So she had to find hers, and look where you are. I mean, Arlene, come on. I have tremendous admiration for you.
By the way, congratulations, Arlene, on your award.
Wait, you got an award?
An acknowledgement.
2 weeks.
I want to know from where.
It's a magazine called Smart CEO.
Oh my God! See, I love you. See, I told you. I was right. I picked you a long time ago.
And it wasn't your boobs.
Well,
it's however, they are pretty awesome.
They couldn't see them. But anyway, thank you for the kind words. But I was resisting getting this award. It's kind of a funny story. I've gotten awards before, and probably 5 years ago I was more interested in getting awards than I am today. And so anyway, I found out that I was getting it, but in order to accept it, you have to go to get to the event, and you have to go to this videotaping first, which I've done before. And so they sent me the dates of the event, and they sent me the dates of the videotaping, and I said, thank you, but I can't make it. I can't make those dates. And then I got the email back, oh, those were the wrong dates. These are the dates. And I said, well, I can make the award thing, but I can't come to the videotape. And I thought, thanks very much, but I can't make it. The second time, I can't make it. And they're like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. You don't have to have that part. So then I go to, I tell my marketing director, I said, okay, I'm getting this award. And I said, but don't get a table, because usually we would buy a table of 6 or 10 or 8 or whatever. And, I'm like, don't get a table, just get a ticket, just get a ticket. And so anyway, we're going.
I thought you should have sent the sock monkey behind you in your stead.
I know. I wish. But it's nice to get awards, but you know what? It's not really, and
it doesn't feel real.
And well, no, I mean, because the stuff that, it's kind of like when you talk about the sheep, and that's really where your passion and your heart. I mean, you love to do all the other stuff, but that's really, you don't do that. You're not mucking with the sheep because you're going to get an award. You do it because you love it, and all the stuff that adds up to getting some kind of recognition or award, it's nice, but it's really not.
I know, it's really weird that you say that, because I am that person too. That's so funny, because, which just means we're not narcissists. Because, of course I always have to go back to that, because, I have so many of them in my family. I don't know how I escaped it, but, that any sort of title to a narcissist is the end all. It's it's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that part. And, and you think about, all the stuff that we do with Fiberygoodness, the part that is the most fun for me is, when you and Susie and I get on the phone and we start brainstorming, and we get all excited,
fun.
like, wouldn't it be neat if we did this, and this will be so great when we do that. That's the fun part.
No, I love your Benihana moves. Your Benihana moves, like, and then it becomes a class. It's like she goes in there, but like I'll have sent it to her like 3.5 minutes ago. It took me like 6 hours to write, and in 3.5 minutes it's back. She's like put it through the grinder, the meat grinder, and then it spits it out, and it's way better.
The part that you do is the hard part, because it's always harder just to lay down the foundation and to get, you know, those basic ideas in there. It's easier to come in behind somebody and say, well, move this around, and you know.
I don't know about that. You're good with it. Like honestly, if I was, you know, of childbearing age, I'd come to you for baby names. I'd be like, Arlene, what do you think I should name this one? It's got a big head and its eyes are a little bit small, its chin's a little receded. What do you think?
A whole career I'm missing out on naming children. Anyway, we have a good time. That's what it's all about.
Well, that's good.
The fleece class is great, by the way. I watched a lot of it tonight. It's really.
You watched it tonight?
Yeah, I watched a lot of it.
Yeah,
tonight.
I got to tell you, like, what I realized when I'm talking about fleece is that I am so excited about because I don't know if the people in cyberspace know that I don't ever practice. And so I don't really know what's going to happen. That's why I don't really know how long it's going to be, the class is going to be. Because in my mind, you know, I think it's, you know, I just have to, we don't really know because we haven't done this one before. So anyway, so I'm talking and it's just so awesome because there's just all this information that's just right here that I want to share with people. Especially because this is this part is the part that most people don't know.
This is such an important class because
I love this class.
This information is not available anywhere.
No, it's not.
And I'm not going to read about it. I don't like reading to learn.
Yes.
I like the storytelling, and Natalie's really good at that part where she embellishes it with little other sidelines of information, and I really learn best like that.
Yeah, I do too. I then sort of a narrative, like of course there's facts, but then there's some way to remember them. I have to have some, like storytelling is really important to me, which, okay, so people, okay, I just have to say this part, it's an aside. So for some people may have seen this post before, but I did when I did one of my free videos, or, you know, like it was like a live stream and I was talking, and I did the way that I always teach is a lot of it's narrative. Stop it, my dog's driving me crazy. But anyway, and so one of the things that I said that I always say is that education it's the beginning, it's not the end. Like that's one of the hard things that I have had about this industry is that people will take something, they'll learn something, and then it becomes like that you cannot get them off of it. They're like a bulldog on a bone. Like it's like, hey, things like this industry cannot be static. It has to be dynamic, and we must continue to learn. And so with that, you know, education is the beginning. It's not the end. It's like the beginning piece of the puzzle. Just like, you know, electricity has, you know, we're not driving like the cars. We're from, you know, what is it? The model, what is it? Model T? Whatever the beginning cars. Now we've evolved, right?
Why'd you ask me?
We've advanced. So anyway, some lady goes to give me a compliment, but everybody, and I'm going to tell you, those of you who don't know me really well, I am such a straightforward person, but I still, you know, like I say it all the time, I have moments where I am so prickly, and part of it just comes with my personality. I hate this part about me, but somebody could catch me at the wrong time, right? I hate it, and I'm trying to grow, but it's just still part of me, this little prickly part that can be very mean. And this lady wrote, education, the way that she wrote it, she did the wrong grammar, so it sounded like she was saying, you should not be putting all this fluff in the beginning, you keep putting it at the end. That's what she said, but what she meant to say was exactly what I just said. Education is the beginning, not the end. Oh, I about eviscerated her. I was like, I am so sorry, you can't just enjoy a feed. Like, I was not happy. And then she was horrified because she was trying to make it like, and it took my husband reading it to explain to me. I felt so horrible that I had like almost eviscerated this woman, but because of the grammar, it was the wrong grammar, which just to let you know, it was, you know, not, but I still feel bad about that. I carry a little bit of guilt for this poor woman who all she wanted to do was give me a compliment, but because she didn't put it in quotation marks, meaning as if I had said it, it sounded like a statement and a criticism. And so I love teaching, and I love all, but there's still, you know, I get nervous because I feel that sometimes I doesn't, you know, people, I guess that, you know, what I did is I reacted to a guilt that I have, and that is that when I teach, I do tell stories, and it is really organic, and it's not scripted. So since I carry that guilt, when I read that, I read into it that she was criticizing me when she wasn't. And I'm really sorry for that. I still feel bad. Anyway, moving on.
I skim read, so I miss sometimes. I have to go back and read it again because it's like, that didn't sound right.
Well, Arlene has great. I'm telling you, Arlene. She's like, yes, I am going to be Saint Arlene. That's it. Natalie is making me a saint. But no, she gave me the great advice. She's like, Natalie, you the best thing to do is to, you know, she said, what I don't. Well, she doesn't give advice like that, but she said, you know what I do, Natalie, is whenever there's emotion attached to something, I walk away until it's not emotional anymore, and then I deal with it. I'm like, wow, I should try that sometime. And then I find myself still these fingers on the keys the second it's emotional. I'm like, and I'm like, oh, dang it, I just hit send. And Arlene said, wait till the emotion's gone. It's a hard life we live on the internet now. Everything is on the internet.
Yeah.
Huh. It's just changed relationships so much.
It has.
It's good. I mean, but it's, on the other hand, there's people that I would have never had relationships with. I would have never met Susie.
Right.
That's true.
I would have never met Jan.
Right. You would have never met me.
I actually did meet you in person first.
That is true. That is true.
That crazy class.
And if it wouldn't have been for your blog talk, I would have never found out about Fiberygoodness, because
really?
Arlene was on, and she was talking about this Journey to the Golden Fleece, and I'm like, what is that? You know, is it a book? So then I Googled it, and it led me to Fiberygoodness, and that's how, it was because of the blog talk.
That's so crazy. Yeah, the funny thing is when I first learned that, just Arlene, well, because Arlene, you know, the second I met you, I mean, you're a real person. I mean, you're not only a real person, but you're highly intelligent and all the things that I always say about you. But then, you know, once I knew you, and then you had started Spin Artiste, and I remember being like, this woman is very smart, because there still is room for people to do innovative things, but I wonder why. What I find is that a lot of people keep trying to reinvent rather than do their own thing, and you were just smart.
But
and then
you
when
gave
you came
me
up with
good advice about that.
Pardon me?
You gave me very good advice about
that. I did?
That.
I gave you good advice?
Yes, several times. And sometimes you would say, I hope you don't mind me telling you this, and then you would tell me. And I would be like, that's great. I'm glad you told me. You told me that, look how many people are trying to make yarn. Why are you trying to make yarn? Not that you weren't criticizing my yarn, but you said, there's no blogger. Be the blogger.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Really? The only thing I remember is telling you I love your yarns, but I think you should get a light box.
You did. And I got the exact light box you told me to get.
You actually did. That was, and I told you.
This
is, you guys, I just want to say this to anybody who's listening. This is what I'm going to say, and I've said this so many times, but I don't know how many have already heard it. But is that if you go to somebody for any sort of advice, it has to be a person that you actually are going to believe, or you're just wasting their time and yours. And I'm the person that if I come to somebody and I need advice, I'm going to follow it. Of course, I have my own mind, but I wouldn't go to somebody and get bad advice, because that person, obviously I respect them, or why would I ask them, right?
Right.
So, and that is the one thing I will say, because I come to Arlene for advice a lot, because it's really, that's the thing. The other thing I think people need to understand is that your business that you have, or whatever, your interpersonal relationships, you shouldn't be alone trying to figure it out, because there are people with skills that you don't, like I don't have the skills Arlene has. There are some very good skills that I have that have gotten me really far, but I always seem to be missing a little piece of the puzzle, but I recognize that. And so I think that's the other thing, is that I will say this, is that even when I said that, I think that was the first thing that I said to you about the light box, but I didn't want, if somebody gets thin-skinned about it, right, then that's the other thing. Like if you're a person that takes things personally, then it's hard for you to learn, because you're defensive, right, because it feels like criticism. And for even me, that's been the hardest thing for me, because I'm prickly. but I've really learned that, like, especially like someone, Arlene, you've told me so many gems that have helped me so much. We wouldn't have this class. Not only would we not have the class that we did, but we would not have the year-long course in Fiberygoodness for the dye secrets. People would not be having the it's crazy when I see what we've accomplished, and all because of your openness to let me be who I am, and just the whole collaboration. It's crazy to think. I'm so proud. I'm really proud.
But that's what's good about women that are secure in where they're at, that they can share, and they want to see other people succeed. They want to see other women succeed, and they're secure in their own success. And like you said, everybody brings a little something to the table.
That's right.
And if you're open to that, if they're people that you trust that you care about, you can accept it. You may not like it at first. Like, I know people say things, and I just kind of go, yeah, and then I think, you know what, they're right. They're right. The way I went about that wasn't right. And that, I think, is just good friends. Good friends and wanting other people to succeed.
Yeah, but also like I think also the relationship, Arlene, between you and Susie is like such a perfect relationship, because you're both creative people, but you have, this business side and this business savvy, and then she's, so incredibly talented. I mean, really, she is creative, and it's like that's part of it. Why? It's the same thing. Like, why? Just like when you said that about why, because that is a question I would say. Why are you doing this? If you're going to team up with somebody, why would you team up with somebody that's just like you? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. You want to team up with somebody who is filling your voids, and you're filling their voids.
My whole life, I waited for Susie. My whole life, I waited for her to come.
Oh my God!
Oh, that's so nice to say.
That is like really touching. I love that. It really is, especially because I really hold you in such high esteem. That's such a great compliment to her.
Yeah. Any idea, you put it out there, and she's going to make it like 10 times better.
Wow.
Like the store, like the Magic Craft store. We talked about it, and we shared some. Wouldn't it be cool if we did this, and wouldn't it be cool if we do that? And the next thing I know, like 2 weeks later, poof! It's like oh my God, I've never seen a store like this on, like for an equipment store. Everybody just always throws stuff up there. But this is like, she's got personal anecdotes. She built this beautiful introductory video for it. It's really nice.
Natalie, I don't think you've had a chance to see it yet. It is beautiful, and there's not interactive, but there's videos on the equipment, and her videos are just so good.
I love her videos.
Yes, they're so good.
For those people that hate mine, go to hers, because she gets to the point. No, they're good. I do love them. She doesn't even, honestly, I've never seen a video where someone doesn't really need to say that much, but everything.
Right.
Like, I have to talk through everything. People are like, yeah, shut up, as a matter of fact. But she really does. She does a great job.
She laughs at me because I don't like music in mine, because music, when I'm trying to learn something, is distracting for me. But hers I can watch, and I learn. But for me,
Well, I watched the video. You guys, if anybody's listening, if anybody's interested in the looms, the Magic Craft loom, I'm buying one, by the way. I watched her video on that, and I had to have one.
I know.
And then I didn't have the money, but now I have the money, and so I really, really, really want one. So I'm just waiting. I'm waiting and waiting. But I really want one of those, because she makes it look like it's so not simple, but like not tedious, tedious.
Have you ever woven before?
No.
Okay, what's good about this is you don't have to wind yards and yards of warp. You just walk it back and forth, and you only have to do it for a scarf width, and
that's so cool.
That's what I like.
Is it called a dynamic heddle? What did she call it? Is it dynamic? It's dynamic.
Dynamic.
I'm really excited. And then I bought a Susie Magic Craft Susie, and the overdrive. So any of you who want to buy anything Magic Craft, you have to go to Fiberygoodness, please. Honestly, I love when people support people I love. I do. It makes me feel. It makes me happy. I get excited. Like, I get excited for the sale. even though I'm not. It's like I'm like, oh my God, they got, like you guys told me that you sold a wheel the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Like it is. It's really exciting for me to know that.
Well, Artist got hers today.
Did she?
She did.
She did.
So
it's all put
exciting.
together. I saw the picture. She sent us a picture.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna love it. She's such a great lady. I love her. She's so supportive. She's really great. She wrote, because I shared those long locks, but I do know that somebody that I love isn't gonna get in on it. And so she was like, oh, I think I missed it. I was like, oh no, you didn't, because I saved some out. So yeah.
So on that note, that's another little topic that I wanted to bring up. So you did something a little different this year with your inventory, your shared inventory.
Yes.
You set aside some, you went out to the marketplace and you said, I'm going to save my best stuff if you guys want to commit to buying it.
Yes. I think, and that was not my, I have to be honest, this is another Arlene genius idea, and it really was smart, because one of the things, the hard things about, okay, first of all, I want it's the way it should be, and some people probably won't get it, and I know I've been in the position where when I had this horse trainer for a long time in the rein cow horse business, and she used to treat Paula Hunsicker. Paula Hunsicker was beautiful. She had blonde hair. She was petite. Her husband and her had just a boatload of money. They lived in Santa Ynez, and this horse trainer, like, I was nobody. Like, it was like when I showed up, she would just like barely even look at me. But when Paula Hunsicker showed up, I mean, the heavens would part. And it used to just really bug me that I couldn't be Paula Hunsicker, because I just didn't have that kind of money. Anyway, but then, like, I started thinking about it and thought, if I had spent all this money with a trainer, wouldn't I want to feel special? Like, if I'm like, that's really, and I really had to chew around that, even though, and so then I accepted it. I accepted that it's just one of the things. I didn't have that kind of pull, and oh well, Paula should be honored for supporting Sandy in the way she did. And I have carried that for the last, like, 20 years. I really believe that to this day. So what it means is that if I put up a stellar fleece, and 4 people that have never supported me ever PayPal me before Artists or Jennifer Nightingale, I can think of, there's about 15 people I could think of right now that they just support everything that I do. And they get it, and then Jennifer goes, oh my gosh, and those people don't care 2 twigs about me. They just don't care. I realize these people they're taking away from people that have supported me and that love me. And so when you and I were talking about that was the smartest thing, is to take a new approach and to take the best fleeces that I have and pre-sell them. That way I have the money, because that's the other thing. When I put something for sale, I actually need the money. It's not like I can do the thing where, oh, no, it only goes to my best customers first, and then I have to wait. Then what if my customer doesn't want it? And then now I just lost the other. So the whole point, it was just the smartest thing to do. So I just commit the very best fleeces that I have, that people have to pre-order them, and that just happened. I sent the last one out the other day.
So how does somebody get on the pre-order list? What do they have to do?
That's the hard part, is that it's kind of that is the hard thing, because now it's going to be hard for people that are because I also will preferentially choose people that support me.
I'm going to launch into business talk here, but couldn't you, like, take a waiting list so that
I could. I guess I could. But I noticed too, you mean a waiting list and then built, but that's the thing. Like, I hate the idea of, like, having to email someone and say, okay, now something's opened up, and then we go, oh, I don't have the money now. That just irritates me.
I see. It's too much administration.
Yeah, it would just bug me.
It wouldn't irritate me as much as it's just extra.
Yeah, it's extra.
It's
it would be like bookwork.
So I actually did a great job of being able to judge, because that's the other thing. I'm telling everybody, Arlene's already taken. Susie has most of her. I've got a piece of her. But find somebody that really is good at being able to fill in the blanks that you have. I have blanks for sure. Some of us have a lot of problems being objective with ourselves, and I don't have that as much as well. It might be. It's not objectivity maybe, but it's like thinking that I could actually sell my fleeces ahead of time wouldn't have occurred to me, because I'm one of these people that I would feel weird that I had their money and they don't have the product. But then, but that's not a smart business move. It's not, and it's not good for my clients, for my customers. It's just not. So it's actually smarter. It was more generous to do it this way.
Yeah, because now that person knows they're going to have it. They don't have to worry about watching Facebook. They don't have to worry about They were out of town or whatever. They
That's
couldn't
right.
get to their computer. They
That's right.
know I'm gonna get it.
That's right. It actually did work out. It worked out great. So I actually was able to get the fleeces to them in the 2 months. So I was really happy. That was just, you guys, I'm telling you, there are so many, like, I think that this idea of, like, being the lone wolf and that we're all competing against each other is such a bad idea. And the more that I'm in this business, the more that I realize that we really have to find people and that we really, I don't know how a person some people are not very good judges of character, so that's a whole nother thing, but I'm just saying I really do believe that we have to band together. And I do love that about Fiberygoodness too, because that was the first thing when we were talking about on Blog Talk, and you were talking about the journey for the golden fleece. And I remember at first, like, I was thinking, this is real, it's so new, like, that's such a new concept. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's so smart. But it takes a lot of organization. It's not easy. Something I could never have done. What you did was so smart and good for everyone. It's really good for everyone.
It's a fun course to take.
But it also the community building. Before,
Right.
everybody was against each other, but it's bringing people together into that's what I love about it. It's like, it's genuine.
Right. Well, like I said, I'd been spinning for so long, and it was just getting like, yeah, well, I spin art yarn, I do this, but this kind of made it's just great. I just can't say enough good things about it.
But nobody had ever said, let's be a community together. Before, it was like everybody's competing against each other. Right. Nobody's like doing enjoyable things together. It's like, it's literally like, it's just all a competition. And it's like, how can we be seen? How do you get above the fray? How do you get, in front of the pack? I
think the real danger of that pitting against one another is that if I was thinking about getting into spinning or a new spinner and I was exposed to that attitude, that would be such a turnoff. Like, I'll go crochet. I don't know. I'll just go. I don't want to deal with this. This is nasty, So what I always felt was, what we need to do is create a positive environment so that we can grow the market, so there would be more dollars, so people would be less at each other's throats.
That's right.
The problem is chasing too few dollars.
That's true.
So let's pour more dollars into it. Well, how do we do that? Well, we make it more fun. That's right. Because it's a great hobby. It's got so many things about it that is so fascinating and endless learning involved with so many aspects.
It is not. You guys, if anyone's listening and thinking that it's tapped, this isn't even close. This is the beginning. This is we're still repeating doctrines that are like 50 and 60 years old. In other words, we don't have new ones. There's more room. There is so much room. There's so much room for good people with good ideas that are honest, that treat it like a business, and it should be treated, and people should be treated with respect. And I feel like there's just so much more. And like, I love that about, like, just even the teaching the dyeing or teaching the fleece course. Like, and I'll be straight with you. Like, probably, Martin Daly knows more about fleeces scientifically than I do, but not more about using them or touching them, because I use them. He doesn't use them. But he does know more. He does know more than I do. You could bring up any breed right now, and he'd probably be able to tell you the founder of the breed. I can't do that.
Well, but we wanted a practical approach.
That's true.
We wanted the approach that I am a regular spinning person, and I'm going to a fleece sale, and how do I get out of here without, buying the wrong thing, spending too much money? Where can I buy for the right value?
That is and I have to tell you, like I do remember, I remember buying, I'll never forget this, I spent $20 on an ounce of Surrey alpaca in 2005. And I bought it on eBay, and it came to me, and it was a felted mess, and I was so I felt like stolen from. It was $20, but it felt like $200, because so I do understand. I really still understand from the perspective when someone feels stolen from. It's not the amount. It's that you were a sucker. right? And so I wrote the person and I said, well, I don't understand how I could possibly use this. And she said, she actually did say, you just use a picker. And I actually said that today, like who just had, at the time I had a picker, but how did she know I had a picker?
Yeah.
And I threw it away. There was no point. Who wants to pick apart something that's never been washed, that was felted on the animal, dirty in your picker? She didn't know. Here she raises them and didn't know, and so that's the thing. And there's a lot of information that is not offered to people about the fleece, and that's the epicenter of what we're doing. Without fleece, we have no hand spinning, unless you're going to do cotton and linen or.
Well, there's a great need for practical information, and I would like to see this class keep going, and a lot of people take this, because there is no way that you can't make back the $200.
Oh.
No way.
No, just those pictures. I know, like I wanted a better way to present it. I was really rolling around, but I thought that was probably the easiest, because since I don't have a screen, I could have put it on my television, but then I was afraid it would be blurry going through the camera, and I needed to be in my studio, and there's no television out there. But I will tell you, just going through those pictures, even when I was looking at them, I was elated. I was elated that those pictures, to be able to teach people, just look at that sheep and the person's not telling you the truth. Look at the tips on the sheep. That can't possibly be what they say it is.
When you said Google Wensleydale, I think you said, Wensleydale?
Yeah, I did. And I
Googled it, and I think there was a lot of bad images that came up there, too.
There might be.
They were hairy-faced, all hairy on the faces, and I went, I don't think that's right.
No. They have the most beautiful, slick blue faces, but they have wool, and that's the thing, and so when people would come to my retreats, this is part of what I would teach them. I would take them I would tell them about these things, then I would take them out and I would show them a sheep, and I would say, okay, so I've talked about Gotlands, I've talked about Wensleydales, and I've talked about Teesblotter. What do you think this is? And then people will look at it, and even after what we've went through, they most often would say, yes, wrong. And I'd say, but what about the modeling on the face of the Teeswater? Does this one have modeling? No. Does it have hair? Yes. Well, then it can't be a Teeswater because it doesn't have modeling, and it has hair, so it can't be a Wensleydale, so it must be or a cross. That's all it could be. And so that was where I really started realizing that people don't know, and that's bad, because as a consumer you should always know. You should know so that people can't take advantage of you, right? There's nobody that would say that knowledge is not power, right? So, and it will save people money. It's going to save them a lot. It really will. And of course, I'm always there. I try to be really nice. People are like, yeah, if you ever answer your email, because that's the hard part too. Anybody who tries to email me, is that I do miss a lot. I'm so sorry, and I do even miss the ones in my messages sometimes, because there's so many messages, and then if it's down too far and it's not on my screen, I won't see it, and I might not see it for months. And then I'll go through everything and make sure everything's read, and I'll see someone wrote me 3 months ago and had a simple question. I'll be horrified. Anyway,
it almost takes another person to do the social networking sometimes.
That's the thing. That's really true. It's really true. And the part is, since I'm a shepherd at heart, social networking will get bumped. If I have something to do outside, it gets bumped, because it just does, because the sheep are more important.
It's your job.
It's my job to take care of them.
Right.
It really is my job. Plus, I enjoy it. Plus, I get to work with my dogs. I'm so lucky. When I think about that, I'm like, who gets to work with their dogs? I do.
When I was at your farm, and Lacey, I think you had just gotten Lacey not too long, and it was just so fascinating to watch her work. She was running around, and then you had to go get in the water. Remember?
Yeah, get in the water. She should cool down.
Yeah.
She just jumped in it.
And I'm like, the dog jumps in a big tank of water. And I'm like, what is going on? She goes, they have to cool down because they'll just keep working.
They'll work until they die.
It was amazing to watch those dogs work.
There's something. They are something. It really changes my attitude about it's really affected the way that I think in terms of, you know, animal, when people talk about animal rights and things, because I am a huge animal activist. I've rescued, Scrappy's a rescue dog, for God's sake, but so I have like 6 or 7 of them on my farm now. But I need those border collies. I don't need a rescue dog that someone 14 or 15, you know, rescue dogs that someone tries to train because they're a rescue, because they don't want to buy a purebred because it's against, right? Because, you know, purebreds are bad. I have to have my dogs. I can't have a business without my dogs. My dogs do the work of like 10 people, and they keep the sheep they get the sheep to me so quickly the sheep don't stress out. If it was humans, oh my gosh, they would be in the wrong place, the sheep would be running around, they would fracture, it would be like a cue ball. I mean, it was just, the dogs are just, it's actually such a humane way to work. And it really changed, and you know, I've rescued probably 30-something dogs myself, and I've fostered, you know, hundreds. And I was really on the bandwagon of no breeding, and now I just don't feel that way because I need my dogs. And if somebody didn't make border collies, that would be horrible for a shepherd.
So while the border collies are working, what does O. Henry do, and what does Gooby Dooby, whatever his name is, do?
Okay, Henry's a livestock guardian, and so at night he has to stay. He actually tried to kill one of my border collies, and that was really horrible because he's a guardian. So he saw Lad, and he just, for whatever reason, and he just flipped a switch in his head, and he's like, that dog is going to hurt those sheep, and he attacked him and almost killed him, and so he can't be out in the day anymore. But at night he watches the flock, and we have bobcats and mountain lions and coyotes, and I live a quarter of a mile from town. Seriously, that's how much we've encroached on wildlife. And the Gooby is he's a rescue, a standard poodle that I got from San Bernardino, which is a very high kill shelter, and he just like runs around the farm. That's all he does. He's so cool. He's like the coolest dog. I've never heard him bark once. I've never heard this dog bark, and I've had him 3 years now. It's crazy. He's the best dog. How he could end up in a shelter is beyond me. But and then the other dogs, I have another livestock guardian, and that is in the front of the yard, and then one in the back, and then Gooby is just like a mascot, and then there's Scrappy, and I have a few other little rests. I'm starting to lose track of my dogs. Actually, I start naming them Red and White and Black. That's what I do. Little Red and Little Blackie and Little White Dog. Little White Dog, come here, Little White Dog. I'm not kidding. They don't get names anymore.
They should get names like Mermaid and Chrysalis and Pearl Magnolia.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's really funny. Hey, you guys, and that's another thing that I am just the naming thing for me. Some people really get into it, but that's just the hardest thing for me. Oh my gosh. Because I do want to name everything by an ear tag number, which isn't helpful in a scrap box. It's number 247.
Yeah, we need romantic names. So you've got an artist spin along coming tomorrow night, right?
Yes, with Laura Spinner, which is awesome. It's Cherry Blossom, and Laura is, and of course Susie did the one which was really great. This artist series is a good thing. That's another one of the geniuses of Arlene. I had part of the puzzle. She's like, you should do the themed things, and I was like, the themed scrap boxes, and I was like, oh, that's an idea. Like, my dog is such a nudge. And that's how that came about. And I was like, let's do the artist series though. That's really good because then people can see the different ways that people hand spin yarn, right? And plus, because scrap boxes need to be used, and a lot of people don't use them. They buy them all, but they never use them.
They're not for collecting purposes. They
are not for collecting purposes. I want people. But you know what the funny thing is, and I think you did bring this up the other day, and God love my friends. But they, even though a lot of them have taken the dye course, they still buy my scrap boxes, which I'm really appreciative of. I really am. But I think a lot of it's because there's different fibers in there, and there's different like yarns and threads and add-ins and things, and so that makes it kind of fun. But I did think it was going to kill my scrap box business, but it seems like it's still pretty good.
No, the thing is, like you said, there's all the different fibers in there, and it's not like you just straight dyed. Like if I were to dye it, you have a whole conglomeration of different fibers and ribbon and.
It's really fun to work with. I think they're really fun to work with. I do too.
I just spun up a purple artichoke.
How'd that turn out?
Good, really good. And then I've got my a pink cherry blossom? Well,
Yeah, that's cherry blossom.
that's Laura's going to teach tomorrow.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm
I
really
am
excited.
too.
I love when she teaches.
So I'm
you know what she
saving
said?
that.
She's very sweet. So I don't ever consider myself to be. I don't. If someone was asked me to describe myself, I would never say that I was sweet. Now ever. So one day Laura was here and she goes, "Oh, Natalie, I just love when you talk in your sweet voice." And I was like, "Sweet voice?" Because I don't really have a sweet voice. So then I looked at my husband and later and I was like, "Sean, Laura said she loves when I talk in my sweet voice." He goes, "Yeah, sometimes you have a little, you really do have a sweet voice." And I was like, "What?" In 53 years, like I don't even picture myself as remotely sweet, like not even close. But it's so funny. She taught me something about myself. I do actually have a sweet voice. I go into this, and now I catch myself doing it, but I didn't know that I had it. Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
Just Natalie's sweet voice.
I have a question for you. I don't know
Sure.
if you want to answer it or not.
Okay, hit me.
About your book.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know
No,
if you could talk
I'm
about
writing
it.
the Redding method. The book, it's actually I've done quite a bit on the book. I'm really yes, I'm writing a book on the Redding method because every method has to have obviously something written besides just, and it's so easy to do because I know the material. It's so crazy that I'm just going to tell you guys, what people might not know is that the whole dyeing course came because I had wanted to teach at Fiberygoodness, and I once again tell people I don't teach things that are reinventions of something. It's it has to be original, or otherwise why is someone going to want it, right? But it was just what I've been doing for all these years. I didn't even realize how many theories and philosophies I had. I had no idea until I started teaching, and the philosophies were coming out, because as a teacher you say, well, here's the philosophy that I have, and then you start saying it and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know there were words for what I was doing until I was explaining it. And I know for everybody that's ever taught anything, that's probably happened. But it emerged. At first we thought it was just going to be like this police course. It was going to be just like one little course, and then it's like there was no possible way to get through what I knew in 7 weeks. Or it's 14 weeks counting the study sessions. So then it just evolved into that. Now it's like a year-long program if people want to complete the whole thing. But that's the cool thing about having learning things by doing rather than and being innovative rather than like just always going to and learning the same things that everybody else knows. Like those things didn't work for me, and they can't work for a lot of people. Whatever they're teaching, because we have so many different fibers that it only makes sense that you have to have different ways of approaching different fibers. It really does, right? Because we don't use oil paints on paper, right? We use it on canvas.
Even what you say at the beginning of the course that a lot of people never think about is that when you're buying dye, protein fiber dye, and the instructions are geared towards dyeing yarn. Right. And a lot of people never question that.
They don't know that.
And they follow the manufacturer's instructions because that's what they're told to do, even by the website of the companies. That's
true.
And they don't understand why they're not getting the results that they see other people.
That's right. So to sort of like just expand on what you just said. So for people that don't understand, that when you look at a picture of what the dye color is, that's the standard. So when they give you a gram amount or a milligram amount to use, that's what the technician used on a 100-gram skein of yarn to get that color. So if the yarn was merino, it's going to pick up dye differently than if the yarn was silk, than if the yarn was cashmere, than if the yarn was long wool, than if the yarn was... So obviously, just like the Redding method has to have a book, a company that has a product has to have a standard. So they had to make a standard. It's nothing against any of the dye companies. They had to make a standard from which to judge to make this. But if you're not using a 100-gram skein of that yarn, it's that amount of weighing that dye is not going to apply necessarily to what you're doing, because fibers pick up dye, way much differently based on the type of fiber it is and the amount of scales, or or the crimp, and whatever the nutrition, whatever it is, the medulation, the kemp. I mean, it's all going. Alpaca is going to pick it up differently than merino, than you know, a medium wool, then a Wensleydale. It's just, and so for people to continually adhere to these standards that don't apply is actually nonsensical. It's not. They think that they're doing the right thing and they're perfection. You know, like people that weigh things and that sort of thing for fleeces, they might think that they're doing things the right way, but they're actually not. It's not. That isn't the right way. When it comes to this, using dyes, the right way is the way that works.
Well, we see so many of the students that, you know, they cross over to the side where they start to think for themselves. They dig themselves out of their own holes, right, when things don't go right.
That's right.
You know, this like big leap, but when it happens, it's a beautiful thing to watch. And you see, you know, they'll post stuff online, and it's like they've had that breakthrough.
And I actually have said this, like it used to be, I remember before I was teaching this dye class, and I know a lot of spinners still say this, that it's hard enough to recreate your own dye job, but they're recreating mine, like perfectly. So not only are they able to double themselves, they can double me. Now that's something, that's saying something. That's consistency. That right there is the stamp right there of consistency. And so, and I teach people how to deconstruct. When you look at this person's, you like this colorway, look at it, and you know your dyes now because you've been working with me for this long. Tell me what you see. I see golden yellow. I see chocolate brown partially fractured. I see sun yellow on forest green. I see sea breeze. I'm telling you, they see it. And then I say, well, what if you didn't have those colors? How could you make it? Well, I could take regular yellow and put it on national blue. I could, and they're going through all of the things that they could do. Like that's the thing. There's no, for me, and a lady, I'd been knitting since I was 7 years old, but I hadn't knit in a really long time, so I got a teacher to come here. And the first thing that she did was started making me knit something, and then she would like make me make mistakes in it, and then knit above it, and then come back and have it. And that meant so much to me, in that I realized that there's no point having a method if you don't know how to fix a mistake.
That's right.
And how many of us have messed up fleeces? Like that's the big thing. Like I want people to be able to fix things or identify what they did wrong, like instantly, like you know instantly.
Well, it's freedom. It's freedom.
It's free. It gives you, and you get that freedom, that the confidence that you get in fixing your own problems makes you not afraid to experiment, because you're like, no matter what, I can fix it. It might not be what I wanted originally, but I can still make it good.
The dye class
really
is
cool.
Phenomenal. I'm speaking as a student. The dye class is phenomenal.
I really appreciate that. I mean, and you've been spinning for, I don't want to say for how long, but it was way longer than anybody I know.
In dyeing, I've been dyeing forever, and I have never, ever had the experience that I've had in this class. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I need a farm now because I need more fiber, just, you know, so I can go in that barrel and pick fiber out.
I tell you, that is one of the funnest things about being a shepherd. When I get my hands in a fleece, like I'll take a blanket off and I start, you should hear me, I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my God, oh, Sean, come here, Sean, come here. No, I'm serious. Or if like the kids are walking by, I'm like, oh my God, come look at this fleece. You guys have got to look at this fleece. Like that's the thing. Like, and it happens a lot where I'm just like, I can't believe this animal can grow this.
That's it, exactly. When I get some of your bags of fleece and I look at it and I put it out and I just play with it, it's pathetic.
That black one.
Oh my God, oh my God. I carried it around with me. I make everybody look at it. I go, look at this.
So artists got 2 pounds of that.
I was going to say, who got the black one?
Artist got 2 pounds. And she got some.
Jan got some?
Jan got some, yeah. And I sent, actually, you know who I sent some? Nancy Pearl.
Oh, it's great.
And she actually made a comment about it, and I was like, you know what? I really want her to have some of this fleece, so I just sent her some.
It is so pretty. And I'm looking at it. It's in the bowl that I have to look at for a while because it's just so pretty.
Really, it's so black and it's just so beautiful.
God.
And the handle, I'm not kidding you. Like it's hard to, it's just hard to imagine that was, and it was hard. That's why I never sold. I actually offered it to two people. So I offered it to my customers that are in the dye class, and they only want something that they could dye. I was like, well, this isn't it.
No,
And
no,
then
no.
I just said, you know what? Rather than look for somebody who wants it, I'm just gonna not post it for sale, and I'm just gonna wait. And I'm gonna wait, and then people that I think are worthy of having it.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and then you were one, and then Nancy, and now it is gone. But and that'll be the last fleece she ever has like that. Now next time it's going to be silver.
That's so interesting to me. It's like, how can they just, like, the first fleece I got from you that was beautiful white long locks, and I dyed them because I thought, well, that sheep will always have white locks like that. I never even thought about it, very honestly. And they were beautiful white locks, and I dyed them, and they were beautiful. But then you said, oh, when you get white locks,
don't dye
them. And I'm like,
they're that white.
Too late.
And they're blue white. Because most, it's mostly ecru, or they've got kind of a yellowish tinge. Or
right.
When you get the blue white fleeces, you just can't. And that's just such a mistake, and it just kills me. So now that's the other thing I like about doing the pre-sale too, because now the fleece, and it has happened in the past where I've had these pristine white, beautiful fleeces that should never be and never be dyed, and someone will dye them like brown and then comb them, and then show me this worsted yarn that they've made, and I want to cry.
Combing it. Ooh.
No, I actually have. And then early on, I remember selling fiber, and in beautiful colors like the scrap boxes, and in mohair. And then someone sending me pictures after they've made a bat, but they made dryer lint. Making bats. I know you guys have seen that, where people don't understand. You have to take care not to just blend it till it's lint. And the yarn looked like, and she actually was like, I don't really think I like these colors. I wanted to choke her. Right, I really did, because it was like a gorgeous mohair fleece, and I was like, you're saying like that you don't like the colors. They were so beautiful until you linted them. But I think, that's just part of the lessons that we've all done it. I just had already done it, and so understood what happens. She hadn't done it yet, and the pity was she did it on one of my really great fleeces. I know it's just that's why this education and why Fiberygoodness is so great too, because this is a place where people can go and get actual good information, rather than really bad information or no information and bad information.
And it's coming from a shepherd. It's a hand spinning shepherd. There's a big difference.
And the other thing, all of the pearls of wisdom that we've all learned over the years, whether it's me or you, Jan, or Arlene or Susie. I mean, there's so many people out there that actually do know what they're doing. I think the hard part, I'm going to say though, I think the hard part is this fleece part. I think is really people. I don't think have ever paid attention to it. To be honest with you, I don't think they've really paid attention. It's either good or bad, but that's it. It's not like it's either they either like it or they don't, but it's not about appreciating each fleece for what it is good for, like a Navajo churro. Like someone buys a Navajo churro, and then if they say, I hated that fleece, it was horrible, it's like, that's because you were probably trying to judge it by if you looked at it for what it's best for, like a warp, you would love it. You can't look at it to wear next to your skin. Of course you're not going to like it. So my big message too is that, appreciate each breed for what it is. Don't try to make it into something it's not.
Well, that was interesting what you said today about that churro Corriedale blend today.
Right. Why would anyone do that?
Right. They're two different.
They're so different. There would be
right.
no earthly reason to do that. I've thought that actually. Think about this. When I did a blog. What is it? Blog talk. Blog talk with the very famous lady that of course I can't. Her name's escaping me right now, but the Pyrenees lady who wrote a book on Pyrenees, and she said, what makes me crazy is when people breed Pyrenees to a border collie. Because you're breeding a dog that's supposed to guard the flock with one that's chasing the flock. Why would anyone do that?
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
No, but it's the same thing. That's what I'm saying is don't do these but people like to think that they're. I mean, and I'm one of these people sometimes that likes to think that I'm smarter. Oh no, I got this one. You guys are so dumb that have been doing it for a long time. I got this all figured out. And then I find out, wait a minute, they actually are way smart. That was me being arrogant, right? But seriously. So I think that there are things that we can change and evolve in, but obviously it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that a border collie that chases rating to a Pyrenees that's supposed to guard is probably not a great mix.
No.
Well, you two, I hate to leave you, but it's my bedtime.
Are we leaving?
I
Okay,
think,
bye.
yeah, we're
Are we
on
done?
like an hour and a half. Yeah, everybody's.
Okay. Does anyone, wait, before you go, you want to see my shoes? Because you know
Yes.
I'm a shoe freak. These are Giuseppe Zanotti's, and they are stilettos, and I'm in love with them, and they are so, well, I don't want to see that part. They are so pretty. They look, I just love them. I just aerated the soil on the way over here. And I'm sinking down like 3 inches in my Giuseppe Zanotti's.
Hey,
Anyway,
did you
okay,
see
you
that?
guys.
They've got a thing that you can put on the heel. I think of this when I see you walking around in those. It makes the bottom, it's plastic, and it fits onto the stiletto bottom, and it's got a big wide, and they're clear, and it's got a big wide, like a plate, so that you can walk in the dirt. And
Oh,
it
that's really
doesn't
cool. I need
sink.
that. I do need that. I'm
I'll
going to
have
get
to
some of
look-
those.
I have to look for them. I was
Yeah, let's
laughing
find
at
out for
going.
me. Because every day I wear stilettos, which people obviously not when I share, but my husband thinks they look hot on me, and I'm so in love with him. I wear them he likes them, and I love them too, and so we're one happy clomping family. Because on the wood floors, it's like ka-clunk, 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 ka-clunk.
You tell
And then-
Sean I can prove that they don't look sexy on somebody.
Oh, no, that's not true. They're going to
Oh,
make your
it's
legs
true.
of yours long. Come on.
It's
Okay,
true.
you guys, love to all of you, and
Yes.
thank you
Okay,
for having me.
thank you.
I'll
Thank
come on
you,
anytime.
Natalie.
I love to talk.
I
I'll
know.
come on anytime. Bye,
Okay.
you guys. Thank you guys for
Bye,
listening,
good night.
watching, and everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
Natalie. Thank you,
Bye. Love you guys.
Fiberygoodness.
Bye.
Okay, good night,
Blessings.
everyone.
Bye.